In this session, we're looking to decrease muscle tension, soft tissue tension like fascial tissue tension, mobilize joints, bring the sympathetic nervous system down, and leave you feeling good. Today, we're going to start with the thoracic spine. We're going to get through the low back, thoracic spine, get into glutes, some quads, I think, and then we'll get into the neck as well, the back of the neck. And up into the base of the skull. So we'll start by coming down to the foam roller. And starting wherever you like, you can start up near the shoulders, up top of the shoulders, or you can start, I like to start down just above the low back. So sinking in there, you can bring in your hands, your fingers behind your head here, just to interlock and relax the neck back, and just start with some breathing. Keep some abdominal tension, anchoring the ribs down here to support the low back. And then slowly extending over the roller. Here our intention is to mobilize the joints of the spine while also working through the muscles of the back, the erectors of the back, of the muscles of the back. So we're looking to work kind of vertebrae at a time. So working about an 1.5 inch, 2 inch segments. So you can just start here. That was weird. Anywho, just sink in here, breathe, let the day go, and extend back over the roller. Feet flat on the floor. Abdominals on, supporting the low back here as you extend over. And then you can, to move, just press into the feet to lift the hips up a bit, and you can roll the body down to roll the ball up about 1 inch or 2. And then you can sink into this spot. Exhaling to extend back over the roller, maintaining that connection with abdominals. And then an exhale will help you connect with abdominals as you pull yourself up. And as many as you need there. Take the time here in the session, wherever you need. So if you come to a part of your back that's not as mobile as the rest, maybe a few vertebrae are kind of moving together, not moving as well between them, you can just stick in that area and work it out. Gonna move down a little bit more, getting up just below the shoulder blade. Breath is a big thing here. Breathing into the tummy wherever possible, using your diaphragm. Taking your time, working up the back. Moving again as you need, pressing into the floor, lifting the hips and down. Once you get to that, the shoulder blades, then those are going to be kind of limiting the range of motion of the vertebrae around that spot, the thoracic spine. So you might not get as much extension here, feel like you're mobilizing the joints as much, but just sink into it and get what you can out of it. Breathing. Moving down some more, getting up to that mid shoulder blade section. Keep abdominals on. Taking the time here for you. We're looking to mobilize joints here, but we're looking to also work with muscle tissue, interacting with the nervous system between the roller and our muscles and the soft tissue, the fascia, and looking to encourage a decrease in tension where we find it. So usually where it gets a little bit zingy, a little bit hot, a little bit spicy, that's kind of where you need to work. So just use your intuition and breathe, and stop moving where you feel like you need to stop, and move where you feel like you need to move, but just take your time and move slow when you do. We're going to come out of that when you're ready, supporting yourself as you do so. Feel free to keep working through the thoracic spine if you need it. It's definitely a place with the modern day work life, working in an office space, a lot of seated desk work. It really leans into that flexion through thoracic spine. So getting that extension, reversing gravity's effect on us is very helpful. Here we're going to get into the low back. So I like to use the orb, not sponsored. Or you can use a small ball. You can use a tennis ball. You can use a cross ball. This is from a company called Rad. You can check them out. They've got some good stuff. Just a silicone ball. This can be really good to work through the low back because you get a lot of contact there. I'm not going to use this today because you can't really see it as much in the camera. But that works really good because you have a lot of contact with your back. So you don't have to support as much with the low body. But here we're going to work just above that iliac crest, the hip bone as it comes around. All our low back muscles are attaching into there. We're working through the thoracolumbar fascia, huge connective tissue band there that lats attach into, and all the erectors coming down the spine. So an amazing place to work. So you want to be just above that and just off to the side of whichever side you want to start on. So the little glute bridge here. So tuck the pelvis, engage abdominals, press into the feet to come up, and then you get the ball just next to the spine, just above that iliac crest in this kind of notch area here, and we're going to work out to the side along top of that. So you should feel the top of that hip bone here. Here I want to fight for an even hip, so square to the ceiling. And here I'm using glutes, pressing into the fleet, engaging abdominals to support, and then have your hands out, check in with your neck and your shoulders, relax everything. And then we're gonna do some pelvic tilts. So we're gonna do anterior pelvic rotation, tucking, or letting the tail hang down towards the floor, getting extension through the low back. And then we're gonna tuck the pelvis, pubic bone up towards the ceiling, pressing that low back, lengthening the muscles of the low back. So here, anterior rotation will be activating the muscle of the low back to go into extension, and flexing through abdominals to lengthen the tissue of the low back. And then you can just sink in, breathe, always supporting yourself here. Think of the same thing if you have a small ball. Tucking and tipping, again, using intuition. Stop moving where you feel like you need to. And you want to be working right so you feel yourself kind of scraping along the top of the hip bone. Attachment release, working at that attachment point is so important. There's a lot of neuroreceptors in the connective tissue, the tendons attaching into the connective tissue surrounding the bone at that spot, where the nervous system is going to pick up a lot there, and it's really going to help decreasing tension through the muscle tissue and the connective tissue. So really kind of check in on those areas where you can touch in on the bone and the muscle attachment. And then slowly, so I'm on the right side, so I'm going to move my body to the left to move the ball out to the side. And as you get out towards the side of the hip more, moving about an inch or two at a time sideways. The smaller your ball, the less you move, because you don't want to move over tissue that you haven't actually touched on yet. So you want to touch through all of the fiber attachments along the way. The more you come out to the side, the more you're going to be off the center of the ball, so on your back. So you're going to have to support yourself a bit more, fight for that kind of squareness to the ceiling. And then tipping and tucking, slowly working your way out. There might be less movement here if you have the small ball, just because your hips are going to contact the floor, so no worries there. But you don't need a lot of movement. Just be slow and be in your body, trying to facilitate change. We're applying pressure, we're adding energy with pressure and friction, looking to create a physical change in tissue, but we're also looking for that nervous system connection to encourage ourselves to relax. None of us are getting any younger, and we don't just relieve tension like we used to when we were little folk. So we need to kind of check in and relax tissue sometimes. Breathing. You're going to come right out to the edge of the hip where you're almost falling off the ball here. Still tucking, fighting for that, and then easing off. You can check in with the other side. You could do a couple of pelvic tilts here as you come off. Feel how different that feels from side to side. And then when you're ready, over to the other side, glute bridge, engage abdominals, press up to the top, right next to the spine, and just above the iliac crest, and then some tucking, tipping of the pelvis, gently squeezing glutes, supporting yourself here, and breathing. We're not rushing through this. We're looking to get the effect that we want. We're not just rolling through these areas to get through it and then you're done. That's not an effective way to care for yourself. Breathing, slowly working your way out, moving yourself to the side. As you start to come off the ball more support will be needed. On the tall ball, you'll be able to be a lot more relaxed if you're on a smaller ball, especially something like a tennis ball that's more squishy or something like that. Go steal your dog's ball. They don't need it right now. I want to wash it off though. Take your time here, supporting as you come out. Just creep in with the toes out to the side. Again, just letting everything else go, just being here with me, working on yourself, breathing. There's a lot to be done right out near the edge, so try and hang on there as best you can. Just cliff hanging on the edge of the ball. Above that hip bone. Excellent. You can do another couple of pelvic tilts here, checking in with that. Oh my God, that feels so different. And then we'll come from there. Feel free at any time to grab yourself some water. Hydration. We encourage it. We're going to come into glutes. So we want to be in the meat of the glutes here. A lot of the deep rotators are attaching from the greater trochanter. So as the femur comes up, you'll feel the greater trochanter here on the side. And then this is the iliac crest here where we were working. So you kind of got this, for me, maybe 4 inches, 5 inches of tissue in between there. That's where glute med and min are on the side, hip stabilizers, and then deep glute rotators, they're all attaching into that greater trochanter. So you want to get right in next to that bone, sort of just behind it, and then around and on top of it. But here, just start in the meat of glute max and getting into those deep rotators, and you can just breathe. Supporting your hands from your shoulders, so pressing down into your hands a little bit. Don't let the shoulders press up into your neck. And then pull them back a little bit. Open up the chest. be supported in your body as you work. Gently. We're not creating all this tension. We're just gently supporting ourselves. And then some movements here to work through glutes. The movements that you want to check in on are internal and external rotation, or adduction and abduction. There's kind of a little bit of both in there. And then some extension and flexion. So you can just play with those, but again, move slow through those. Sometimes it's just as slow as, moving a couple of inches for a couple of seconds, stopping where you need to as it gets more intense, or your intuition just tells you just to move and just sink in and relax and, wait for change to happen. That connection between the nervous system and your mind, your body, it's not just going to facilitate a release right away. So it takes time, listening, rolling around. And then you can turn the hips more upward to get a little bit more towards the sacrum. You'll kind of bump into the edge of the sacrum there as you come up. You'll feel that. Or if you roll the ball up by rolling yourself down, you're going to come into the bottom aspect of that iliac crest, the inferior aspect of that, where glute max is attaching into the bottom of that iliac crest. So there's a lot to be done there as well. Again, some moving and some breathing, and just slowly explore your glutes, finding where you need to work, and then spend some time there. You and I use our bodies very differently, so it's going to be an exploration of your own body. You're like, what's her name, in the Magic School Bus, and you're just like, searching around, trying to find the problem. The mystery of the tight glutes. We'll solve it together. And then you can come in, another area to work in is through the side stabilizers of the glutes there, of the hip and the leg. Glute med and min. So coming over onto one shoulder on the elbow, just above that greater trochanter. If you roll the body up to roll the ball down, you'll bonk into that, bonk. And then if you roll down, you'll come into the bottom aspect of that iliac crest as it comes around. So, and then here again, you could just do some, I'm just pivoting on my toe here, just reaching the heel and pulling the knee up a bit. That's might be all you need. There's a lot going on here. And then when you're ready, you can move into the other side. You might have stuff going on in the hip or the knee on one side. This is a great place to work if you have knee stuff going on as well. So you might want to know that you want to spend more time on one side than the other. Go for it. Spend a little bit more time on that side where you know that you need it, but always check in the other side. Especially if you have something going on, especially if it's long-term, there's going to be compensation, especially in the legs, because we always stand and walk, and we do so no matter how much pain we have. And we're going to move around that pain. We're just going to find a way, and you might not even recognize it. I've seen crazy compensations in movement over the years, working as a massage therapist when I did that. And it's amazing how your body adjusts, makes these changes in movement or tension or posture to get out of pain so that we can just keep doing stuff. And then just search around in those same areas, coming square up a little bit more to kind of come into where the glutes are attaching near the sacrum there, or rolling down to roll the ball up to that underside of your iliac crest and And then come out to that greater trochanter as well. You can kind of feel yourself bonk into the greater trochanter on the femur. I'm right on the back, the posterior aspect of that, which is amazing. There's a lot of deep glute rotators, kind of like the rotator cuff of the hip, will create stability and rotation as well. Support yourself here as I'm reminding myself. Press into the ground from the shoulder. And then you can do some extension, some flexion, some rotation. And when you're able to, make your way all the way around to the side into glute med and min as well. But again, take the time where you need. This is about you, you know. Be selfish in this time. Do what you need for you. You might find that one side is very different from the other, and it might not necessarily be what you thought it was. Especially if there's long-term compensations for stuff. I often find that people exclaim that they find more tension in the opposing hip from where the original injury was from. So just be open to work where you need to work, not necessarily where you think you do. Take your time there. Come out when you need. You can do some kind of windshield wipers with the legs, a little bit of movement here to shake out that, see how that feels. Check out those new hips. We're going to work through the quads here and the kind of the front of the hips. So you can use the ball and do one leg at a time, especially if you know you have certain hip stuff or knee stuff going on. The ball is really great for being really specific around the knee and the hip. So you can check in with that. I'm going to use the foam roller so that I can do both sides at the same time. Usually I'll start right up at the ASIS, the anterior superior iliac crest, that pointy hip bone that the iliac crest comes around to kind of form at the front before it goes down to the pubic bone. I'll do one side at a time up there, and then as I get lower into the quads, we'll work on both sides. So you can kind of come into one hip here, supporting yourselves. We're doing a mini plank. Always support yourself. Press down from the shoulders and anchor the shoulders back and breathe here. You can come right up into abdominals as well, kind of working into, you know, with the roller, you won't necessarily get into the hip flexors there, but with a ball you would. Take your time here in this movement. I'll work on this left side here so you can see better. What I would do is some flexion and extension. So some extension, reaching the heel and pressing the knee back towards the ceiling, and then just dropping the knee down to the floor. You don't have a lot of range of motion here to work. And just working in about a 4 or 6 inch area, rolling up and down. If I'm getting ready for a sport or something, or just looking to flush the tissue, I might do longer movements with the roller, rolling the whole kind of length of the tissue of the muscles, all the way from the kneecap all the way up to the hip. But in this instance, we're doing recovery. We're looking for a release of the muscle tissue tension and connective tissue tension. So I'm going to take a little bit more time in areas. And then here, just get off the hips and into the femurs. We can kind of get both legs on there and rotating. So if you're just square on, you're going to kind of roll through the front aspect, rectus femoris, the muscle that goes right down from the front to the top of the kneecap up to the ASIS, so it crosses both the knee and the hip joint. Or you can rotate everything. Rotate the hips specifically. And then you can get into the outside of one leg and the inside of the other. On the inside, you have vastus medialis, that's the inside quad coming into the inside of the kneecap, and then vastus lateralis on the outside aspect coming into the outside of the kneecap. And you get into the edge of the IT band there as well, maybe. You'll feel that dense connective tissue underneath the roller. And then working on both sides and work all the way to the top of the kneecap for sure. Breathing, supporting here, anchoring with the shoulders and a little tuck of the pelvis, engage abdominals. Came here for self-care and I'm getting you to do some planks. But so often I see people rolling here and just dumping into the low back, extending here, and you'll come out of this feeling discomfort in the low back. And we just roll through there, you know? You wanna safeguard it, you know? Hold on to that tension we just released and like just go relax and let go. And then I'm coming down, just kind of feel free to use your hand to move as we get down a little bit more, and then working right in through around the top of the kneecap as the quads attach into the patella. Take your time working around. Breathing. Ooh. And take as much time as you need there. Sometimes after I use the roller, I'll come back in with the ball to work specifically in areas that I really know need it. The roller is a great way. It's definitely more relaxed. It's not as specific. The roller is usually a little bit softer, unless you have one of those jagged, spiky rollers. I don't really recommend those. We need a different tool for each job. And this is a great way to move fluid around and relax tissue. And then you can go in and be a little bit more specific with the ball if you want to get into right specific spots of around the quads around the knee. Last thing we're gonna do, we're gonna just check out the neck here. So grab yourself a ball. You can do it with the foam roller as well, but definitely a bigger ball, or you can use a smaller ball just on top of a yoga block or a book or something. And that way it won't just squirt out underneath on you. You can't use a small ball just on the floor. You have to elevate it a little bit. So you can play around with that. But that's an amazing tool as well. So just come onto your back. Here we can be more relaxed than we have been in some other positions where we need more support. And then just find that ball in the base of your skull. Breathing. And then the movement here is flexion and extension of the cervical spine, the neck. You can work just to the side of the spine on the one side. You don't need a lot of pressure, you just use the pressure of your big noggin, but you can just gently kind of press back into the ball a little bit as if somebody's there, boop, booping your nose and pressing you back. Tucking, tipping, and do some reaching and rotation. Just search around and You can close your eyes and breathe. Working through the neck is great on the wall as well. Not as much through the back, but through the front. And you can kind of come onto that shoulder and get the ball kind of around behind the ear. And then come into the other side. Whenever you're ready, take tons of time here. Breathing, some tipping and tucking of the head. Find some rotation and again, use your intuition, slow down where you need to and breathe. A great place to work if you have headaches through the whole neck. We hold a lot of tension in our neck and upper shoulders with stress. Just let go. You don't need it. Let it go. And then whenever you're done there with that, you come back out, come back to reality. And then we can do a couple of neck circles here. See what that feels like. Nice. Don't forget to drink some water. Take care of yourself, chill out, and yeah, we'll see you next time.